Hello Crafty Meraki friends and welcome back to the Crafty Meraki channel. My name is Deepa from Designs by Dee, and if you haven't been on the channel before, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. So today I'm going to be sharing a beautiful triple border chevron card. And the trick to this is to use these Chevron Chic dies, which are available in the Crafty Meraki store. This is one of my favorite sets because it actually comes with 3 different versions of those Chevron dies. And each of these cuts out 4 strips in one go for you. So these are perfect for making borders because you don't really have to cut out too many. It cuts out 4 at a time. And then on top of that, I'm going to be using the Luxe Lilies and the Butterfly Bliss sets. These are the stamp sets with coordinating dies, along with the Gilded Expressions stamp set and coordinating die. So let's get started. I'm grabbing the Chevron Chic die that has like a mix of the different chevrons. And I'm going to cut this one out of some white cardstock twice, and then I also cut it out of some gold glitter cardstock once. So that gave me in total 4 plus 4 plus 4, 12 strips. 4 of the gold glitter and 8 of the white. Now, I think this is just enough to make the border, the triple border I'm going to make. And I'm also showing you that you can also get the Wavy Wonder dies and the Zig Zag dies as well. If you didn't want to use the chevron dies, you could do the same type of idea with those dies. So I'm starting this card out by making my border. My first side of my card base, this is an A2 size card base, I'm attaching one of the white strips, one of the gold strips, and one of the white strips again, and I'm making sure that my arrows all go, my chevrons, they all point in the same direction. Now you'll notice I'm lifting up the edges because I'm going to have these kind of overlap and kind of weave into each other for the desired look that I'm going for. You don't have to do this. You can just place things over top of each other if you wanted, but I really liked this kind of weaving one thing into the other kind of look. So needless to say, I'm following the same procedure for each side of this border. And that means that since I'm kind of placing these things down and then kind of lifting them up again, it's best to use tape that is not semi-permanent at first, which is why I'm going with the tape glue rather than using some strong double-sided adhesive. And the thing is, you can't really use the strong double-sided adhesive, especially because these chevron strips have like holes in them, right? So you don't want the glue to show through. I found that this tape runner or this glue runner I'm using, actually it's like the dotted version, so even when I add the glue to these strips, you don't see it through the openings in the die cut. So I'm continuing in this manner where I'm placing these strips down, putting the chevrons in the same direction, and once I've got, see, I'm lifting up that last side of the border, and now I'll just press everything down. So now it's all kind of overlapping over each other, which is a really fun look. And I find that adding that gold glitter strip there in the center really highlights this effect. And it looks really nice and pretty, especially with the white. So now I'm just cutting off the overhanging bits. I was originally going to use my guillotine cutter, but I figured don't really need to do that. I can just use my scissors. And then once that's all done, I can kind of move on to my next step. And it looks gorgeous as is. So my next step is going to be cutting out an opening in here. Now I don't have a square or a rectangle die that's the exact size of this opening, so I'm just going to grab my X-Acto knife set and I'm gonna cut out this rectangle to create an actual frame that I can use a bit of dimension with to kind of have it lifted up on my card base a little. Now I will mention I'm using a self-healing mat under this, so I'm not just cutting on my tabletop. And I'm using a metal ruler because I find that when I use a plastic ruler, I end up cutting into the ruler because these knives are really sharp. So there we have our frame, and that was easy enough to cut out. It wasn't too hard. Now what I want to do is add a bit of lift on my card base. As I said, I'm adding some strip foam adhesive, and I'm going to attach this to the card base just to give it that little bit of lift, and it just not needed, but gives it a bit of dimension. If you didn't want to do this, you don't have to. So now that I've got my beautiful border, triple border, chevron border, I'm going to go ahead and start working on my focal point. Now, I originally had the Luxe lilies, and I wanted to use one of them on here, but in the end, I think I figured it was a little too much. So I'm kind of just working out how I want this to look here. And I like to share different clips in my videos that I don't always, like I usually edit them out. This is one of those clips where it's part of my design process, like my thinking process. I'm sure you guys all do this as well, where I'm like, is this gonna look good? Yes, no, maybe, let's see, right? What's gonna work? So all I'm doing is playing around with the placement and seeing with the different sizes of butterflies and that floral, what looks the best. Maybe a different one, maybe a different flower is going to look better and make this card look good. But in the end, I decided that these things were a little too much, and I really wanted those borders to take center stage versus the things that I was going to put on this card here. So in the end, I decided to just go with the butterflies, but I will show you the rest of my process here. So I think this was the point at which I decided I'm done with those little lilies. I don't think I'm going to use it on this card. They might be nice to use on another card, maybe alone, maybe just one of them, maybe a couple. But I really wanted to use the butterflies, so I stuck with these 3 smaller butterflies so that they wouldn't pull too much attention from those borders. Now, all I'm doing with this is I'm doing some ink blending. So I've got some Pink Fresh Studio inks here, and the ones that I'm using are Coral Reef, Candy Violet, and Peach Fuzz. So I'm starting off with the Coral Reef in the center of the butterfly. Then I'm going to come in with the Peach Fuzz at the bottom, and then the Candy Violet at the top. And all 3 of these colors blend together very nicely, which is why I chose them. I thought that the colors would stand out nicely on that white and gold bordered background that we have for our card. And I feel that I really wanted to show this method of ink blending on your stamped die cuts, because I feel like even myself, sometimes I feel like I can't do this unless I have a stencil, right? We're so used to having the stencils nowadays, and we feel like when we stamp out an image and we die cut it, it has that nice white border around it, and therefore unless we have a stencil, so we can keep the white border, we can't ink blend on it. But that is so not true. So I really wanted to go ahead and show that in this video today, because even though you ink blend over those lines and you don't have that white outline, it still looks really pretty. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and stamp out our sentiment here. I've got the Gilded Expression stamp set, and this is a 1-piece stamp that's going to stamp out a whole bunch of sentiments at once. And then it's also got a coordinating die that cuts all of those sentiments out at once as well. So I love this aspect of the products on the Crafty Meraki site. I find that it really saves time, especially for myself. And you might be wondering, what am I going to do with all of those other sentiments when I only use one? Well, I'd like to have a box or something, and there's a lot of brands out there that do this nowadays, so I'll have a box for different brands, and I'll keep those on like my craft cart somewhere, and all of the extra sentiments and stuff that I cut out, I'll keep it in there so that when I do another project, I can just sort through it and grab the sentiment that I want. And sometimes when you're having those impatient days when you really want your card to just come together, and you don't like, I really don't want to pick a sentiment right now. I don't want to stamp anything out. I don't want to foil anything. This really comes in handy, I find. So I've just gone ahead and stamped it out with some white embossing, clear embossing ink, and I've gone ahead and added some gold embossing powder. And now I'm just gonna melt it to the cardstock here with my heat tool. And then all I have to do is line up my 1-piece coordinating die and cut everything out and pick the sentiment that I want to use. So it's that easy to get the sentiment that you want. Now if you wanted and you didn't want to do heat embossing here, you could always just stamp out the color that you want. And there's also an option in the Crafty Meraki store for an effortless shimmer paper. So these are already printed out on the effortless shimmer paper, and you can add whatever metallic foil, deco foil that you want to it to get your sentiments to be nice and shiny there if you wanted to do that as well. So I've gone ahead and cut everything out, and I've kind of kept it aside in a little bowl. I think I was still deciding what to use, and then in the end I ended on Best Wishes. I liked this one. It was nice and short. And a lot of the reason why I pick the sentiments I do is because they look good on the card. It's not always for specific occasions, so there's always that to consider as well. The Best Wishes, I just thought that it didn't cover up too much of my border, and I'm not going to have too much space to put it in the center of the card because I'm going to have the butterflies in there. So I just thought this went well. I attached them with some foam adhesive there for a little bit more dimension. And now I'm adding my butterflies. Again, I'm going to add these with more foam adhesive. I always have my foam adhesives to the left of me on my craft table. So sorry when my arm gets in the way and I'm kind of grabbing for those. Now I'm just going to organize these 3 butterflies on this beautiful bordered card here. And I chose to go with white here so that the butterflies stand out a little bit. You could always use a color of your choice rather than the white. And I really do recommend using like a specialty cardstock for one of those strips because it really highlights them. So I've gone ahead, added my 3 butterflies, and I think that's pretty much my card. We just want to jazz it up a little now. So I'm going to come in with some stickles here. So this is the black stickles, and instead of using the stickles, you could have just colored in the center of the butterfly, but I thought I'd give it a little bit more shine, so I used this black here. And the bodies of these butterflies are so small anyways, so I don't think you really need to use anything if you didn't want to. Now, for our bling, I'm going to go ahead and grab some gems. These are some of those dual two-tone gems that are available in the Crafty Meraki store, which are really pretty. They shine like a yellowy color. They have some pink tones and purple tones in them, which I thought go perfectly with the butterflies that I have here on this card. I forget exactly what this one is called, but I do have it linked in the description below, so you can always check it out there, and also check it out in the Crafty Meraki store. I do have to admit, I don't feel like Crafty Meraki shows all of their gems, and I didn't realize that there are so many of them. So I definitely would recommend giving the store a look if you're into gems like I am. I love bling. There are so many different kinds of gems in the stores. There's pearls, there's solid metallics, there's solid colors, and there's also these that reflect different colors. There's a large variety of them, and they're all so pretty. So I've just gone ahead and I've added some of the smaller gems in this set to the wings, and now I'm just going to add a few in the background for a little bit of interest. And you'll notice that I'm kind of adding these as little swoops of action as the butterflies fly, so in those groups of 3s and 2s. So that's how I'm adding them here on this card, and I hope that you like that idea. So yeah, this is basically going to be my card for today. I hope that you like the idea of this triple bordered chevron card here. I think that it turned out really nicely, especially with these butterflies. And I hope that you'll give the Crafty Meraki store a look. Everything I've used is linked in the description below, and I hope to see you again next Sunday. Bye!